Oh, he's hacked. 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 The Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic. Like,
be for real. Be for real.
Let's really stop for a second.
Let's be for real for 1 second, Chad.
Shams just said yes. This is real. This is fake.
Shams would never say that. Like he never said
It has to
that
be
shit.
fake, bro.
He said
that's
that
fake.
later
Unless I see Chris
after
Haynes
he
like
got
confirm it.
slandered, but he never said that.
If I see somebody else confirm it, I'll believe it. But
Doncic has been traded.
I thought they were messing with us.
I thought so too, but then I saw
What?
the video. This is not a drill. We'll give you the information next year on SportsCenter.
I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness!
This is not real, bro.
Chat,
Yeah, y'all niggas
chat,
got it, bro.
I'll
Y'all
be-
niggas got it. Y'all niggas
Chat,
got
I'll be
it,
right
bro.
back.
Yeah,
I'll be right back. What the
I still
fuck?
can't. It's still hard to believe it, bro. It's still hard to believe
God!
it. We gotta
Because
like.
it doesn't it
we gotta
quite
wait and
literally
see.
doesn't make any sense. for me
Wait,
to
hold
say.
on. The
scared.
Mavericks GM Nico Harrison said, "I believe that defense wins championships." He told ESPN regarding his motivation to trade
No
Luka for AD.
way.
I believe
Yeah.
that getting an all defensive center and an all NBA player with a defensive mindset gives us a better
No way,
chance.
The Lakers moving away from him, what does that say in terms of their message to LeBron? LeBron James is 40 years of age in his 22nd season.
Nickel, what
You're
is
looking,
going on?
to compete for a championship. Anthony Davis himself was on the record saying,
This is the full trade right here. Luka going to the Lakers with Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris. The Mavericks are getting AD, Max Christie, and a 2029 first round pick, just one pick for fucking Luka Doncic. And the Jazz are getting JHS and 2 second rounders. Tim McMahon, we talked about this. I believe that defense wins championships. That's the Mavs GM, Nico. I believe that getting an all defensive center and an all NBA player with defensive mindset gives us a better chance. We're building to win now and in the future. I can't. If you're trying to win now, there has to be another deal. And this is no disrespect to Kyrie, but like, that's way more offensive workload that Kyrie has to hold now. So what, you can't say you want a win now situation, but you were just in the finals. That makes no sense to me. I get everyone's reporting it. I'm just telling you like why I'm not reacting right now, because it quite literally does not make any sense for the Dallas Mavericks to trade a 25-year-old because of potential conditioning issues or because he's not going to receive a max contract unless they are under the influence that Luka might not have signed long-term because the super max contract might not have been on the table. But if you're Dallas, Luka is 25, 26. 25, 26 years old. When he is healthy and playing, he is one of the top 3, at worst 4 best players in the NBA at 25, 26. You're telling me you not only did not tell Luka, but you are under the influence of what? For anyone to believe strongly that the progression and the development of a 25-year-old will stop at 25 is fucking ridiculous. And if any organization should know that, it would be the Mavericks, because they saw the development of Dirk Nowitzki. So there's just no way that, because who Dirk was at 25 was significantly different from who he was when they finally won a championship. In particular, how he got his buckets, how he dealt with pressure from defenses, his conditioning, and just who he was as a player. He was a completely different player from when he was 22, 25 to where he was at when he finally won a championship. And even then, it took a very uniquely constructed roster to get to that point. Trading away a 25-year-old because you think that he has flaws that are too great to overcome, and most of them are flaws that a lot of players just develop over time. They develop improvements over time. That to me does not make any sense. Also, punting on the idea of being part of that process doesn't make any sense. Trading for a player, and again, I love AD, but trading for a 31-year-old Anthony Davis, who I think will be 32 in March or May, one of the two. Trading for AD when the other piece on your team is Kyrie, and you believe that this is a win-now move, how more win-now can it be than making it to the finals? You made it to the finals. I like the pairing of AD and Kyrie, but that's not enough to do anything. So unless they're willing to make another trade, maybe to go get Jimmy Butler to say it's a 3-star type of thing, or maybe somebody saying Curry, I don't really know. But Kyrie and AD, that's not enough.
This upcoming summer, a massive extension, and we have seen Luka Doncic over the last few years deal with injuries. There's been a lot made about his conditioning and how he is, but that's something the Mavericks have had to manage and handle year after year. But at the end of the day, he is Luka Doncic. He is a stud in every way, and that's why it is certainly fascinating that the Mavericks ended up deciding to trade him. But this is clearly something that they feel Anthony Davis is better suited for this team to win a championship. They just lost Derek Lively for an extended period of time, potentially the next 3 months.
Everyone in the NBA community has to stop acting as if like this trade makes sense. Everybody needs to stop doing that shit. Everybody has to stop acting as if like there's rational like mind state behind trading a 25-year-old superstar for a 31-year-old who I love AD, but the cap to where Anthony Davis is a player is already met. And as much as I love him, I know for a fact him pairing with Kyrie does not translate any higher than what the Mavs just reached last year. It just does not. And the way that they're going to run and function at offense is going to be around the idea of just making AD a lob threat anyway, with a worse passer with Kyrie. So getting in front of a camera and acting as if like it makes sense, so you can rationalize why trading Luka Doncic, please stop. It's a bad trade. It's just a dumb trade. It's a really, really, really dumb trade. There's not an organization that should exist that's willing to forfeit a 25-year-old. And if the contingency or the hang up or the pause, the hesitation was, hey, I don't want to have to pay Luka Doncic a super max contract. Are you fucking serious? And I love AD. I'm not going to act as if like I'm just throwing AD out of the window, because I'm not. That's not the case. AD is an amazing player. But at 31, hell, he not playing right now. But at 31, in a scenario where it's going to be effectively a 1A, 1B situation with him and Kyrie, I don't know what this looks like. I don't know what this looks like from a Maverick situation. Okay, so let me also say this as well, because let's go to the Lakers side for a second. So the Lakers can do a couple of things with this. But I think it's undeniably under the context of they probably know that next year is LeBron's last year in the NBA. They probably know that LeBron is about to retire. Like I think that's becoming a bit more clear. I go as far as to say they might even know that LeBron is going to retire this year. Like that. That's how. There's just no way that you would ever leverage what you got going on right now for LeBron not to make a long-term commitment, or at least have conversations. So if you were the Lakers, I don't even believe that this is let's figure out what we can do this year. It is undeniably, we needed to get something more solidified for the next 7 to 10 years. And Luka was that. You can't trade Bron because Bron has a no-trade clause unless he says he wants out. So if I am the Lakers, and this is where, again, this goes into organizations being forthcoming, upfront, and honest with themselves. They look into the mirror and they ask themselves, hey, where are we at as a franchise and where are we going to go? And I'm not going to sit here and act as if like, if I was in that situation, that I would say no to this trade because it would be obvious. But I think the Lakers came to the conclusion and said, hey, the 5 that AD may be looking for, this hypothetical roster that we may have to piece together for things to be functional to the point where we believe that we can win a championship, that's not real. Like, we're not going to be able to get that 5. It's at least, especially with the idea of us not trading Austin Reeves, we're not going to be able to get that player. Do I think that a duo of Luka and LeBron can make a lot of noise in the postseason with the right team surrounding them? In my opinion, yes. I genuinely think that it can. Reeves, I love you, Reeves. You've been amazing for us, but you got to be gone now because now the ball handler that needs to be put next to LeBron in theory to keep this team still competitive is here now, and it has to be replaced with a bunch of like 3-and-D players and defensive oriented players. It just quite literally has to be. It has to be. And so, to answer the question of what the Lakers do next, they weren't going to trade Austin because they needed a second ball handler. So if now the idea is we can get the 5 that we're looking for, but we have to move Austin, but of course we need to figure out what the rest of the roster is going to look like. But if you just found yourself quite literally a significantly better version of Austin, then I don't know what we're talking about. Furthermore, like somebody said in the chat, everyone is saying that we don't have a big now. Nigga, the whole hesitation for a lot of the players that we were not able to get was because we weren't willing to trade Austin Reeves. At this point, nigga, just trade Reeves. Okay, some more breaking news here from Brett. Apparently, a rift had been forming between Anthony Davis and the Lakers management, especially after his sit-down interview with ESPN. This trade just came together in the last few hours with nobody around the league knowing about it. I don't really think that's necessarily true because Anthony Davis has made his opinion very, very loud and vocal about playing next to a 5. So the news about AD want to play next to a center, that's not new news, right? Even if there was a rift in between the Lakers and AD because he did this, maybe they felt like this was a bit too far. They've been trying to make moves and maybe they felt like, hey, outing us in ESPN really was a bit too far. That still doesn't necessarily amount to how we got to where we are right now, because it doesn't matter how frustrated the Lakers may have been from a front office perspective. There's never a moment where you think you're going to sit here and say, I'm so frustrated with Anthony Davis right now. I'm so sick and tired of AD. I'm going to pick up the phone and call Dallas to figure out if I can trade him for Luka. That doesn't happen. That does not happen. That's not what occurred. The team that would have to be participating or initiating these transactions would have to be the Mavericks, because no one in the NBA would even think to themselves, oh man, let me call and see if Luka's available. No one would ever think that. The Mavs would have to come to them. I'm not necessarily certain or committed to the idea of everything that is being stated right now, but I will say this. Rob Pelinka, the arguments of him sitting on his hands, the arguments of him not putting things into its proper perspective, the argument that he is just this terrible general manager, that shit gotta get the fuck out of the window. Those arguments are fucking done. Because the only way that any GM would ever have the balls to make a move like this is because they understand what's going on. They took advantage of a situation that presented itself. So Shams dropped the article itself, so we can probably get a little bit more information here. The trade talks were initiated by Dallas, league sources tell ESPN. So there's that. And began a few days ago. Harris and Rob Pelinka have a long-lasting relationship dating to when Harris was Kobe Bryant's marketing management. Okay. Here we go. The Mavericks were motivated to move Doncic because of his constant conditioning concerns. Wow. There have been significant frustrations within the organization about Doncic's lack of discipline regarding his diet and conditioning, which team sources considered a major factor in his injury issues. Wowzers. Though Doncic was relatively svelte by his standards when he reported to camp, his weight ballooned to a high of 260? Wow. 260 for Luka. That's crazy. Wow. He sat out 5 games in late November when the Mavericks listed him with a sprained right wrist, an extended absence to allow Doncic to focus on his conditioning. Wow, they gave him even more time. That's ridiculous. Doncic has been limited to 22 games this season because of various injuries as well. Then we got the right calf sprain. So here we go. Doncic was in line to receive a 5-year, $345 million contract this summer, but because of the trade, he is no longer eligible for the Supermax deal. We know that as well. But yeah, that's actually pretty crazy. So it's true. It's true. The Mavericks came to the Lakers trading Luka. They felt as if like his conditioning was a significant problem, and this is all that they really got. So now I can confidently say this is the worst trade I think I've seen in quite some time. Let's be clear here for a second. Luka having conditioning problems, not a surprise. Luka coming into training camp or first couple of weeks of the season out of shape, not a surprise. When you look at Luka, that's been a concern. His defensive motor, how active he is on that side of the floor, not a surprise. That was an issue that we saw in the finals as well. But the fact that Luka can get to the finals, get to the conference finals twice in a 3-year period, even with these issues, really does speak to the volume of how great Luka is. And like I said earlier, there's absolutely positively no way you believe that someone who is at the age of 24, 25, who he is as a man then is who he's going to continue to be for the remainder of his career. I just don't see that at all. And if I am an organization that has a 25-year-old on my roster and the biggest complaint I may have about him is his conditioning, and that's the reason why I may not want to give him that $345 million contract, respectfully, Luka could have been in the back smoking crack. He could have been shooting up heroin. He could have been on cocaine. He's going to get that max deal. He's going to get that max, because if you're telling me he was a crackhead getting to the finals, well, I guess I'm going to sign a crackhead to a max deal, because Luka being able to perform at that level, though he's dealing with his weight and conditioning issues, means that all I need to do is convince him, get him more motivated to kind of get to where he needs to be in terms of fitness, and then we might get an even better player. That's a very fixable, that's fixable. That's very fixable. Secondly, fine, you want to move off of Luka. Trading him for a win-now situation for Anthony Davis to build what? To build what? Kyrie and AD, solid duo. What does that get you in the postseason? AD's next to a 5. That's great. But the rest of the roster is what? What? And on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, Kyrie only has 1 more guaranteed year on his contract after this season. And then AD only has 2 more years. So we're talking about trying to maximize a 2-year window, because after AD's contract, who knows what this team is going to look like. If you're going to move off of Luka, it shouldn't be, let me maximize these next 2 to 3 years with Kyrie being part of the duo. It should have been, well, if I'm going to move off of Luka, I need to go ahead and try to figure out how many draft picks I can get in the process to hit the restart button, not me trying to maximize this 2-year window of a duo featuring Kyrie and AD. That's crazy. I ain't gonna lie, I now realize why a lot of fan bases get upset with the Lakers. Well, I've been known this, but this is like a perfect example of like, why would an organization ever do this? If I'm trading a 25-year-old, it's for me to restart. It's not for me to try to restructure with the second option in a duo with Kyrie. That doesn't make any sense. But third and finally, even if you were going to do it, bro, you didn't get the second pick that the Lakers still had. You didn't get any pick swaps. You didn't get Austin Reeves. You just got AD, Max, and a 2029 pick. Bro, that's like 4 years from now. If Luka signs an extension with the Lakers, he's still going to be on the team. The Lakers are still going to be good enough to where that draft pick doesn't really matter. And within the 4 years of all of this occurring, AD might not be on the team anymore. And even if he is, he'll be 36. So he certainly won't be the same player that he will be. And same can be said about Kyrie as well. This is a terrible trade. None of it makes sense at all. There's nothing that Luka could be doing outside of like catching a case that would have made me trade him. I'm actually blown away. Luka had to be doing crazy stuff behind the scenes. I mean, he had to be doing straight, plumb, dumb stuff behind the scenes, because there's just no rhyme or reason, bro. NBA players and the things that they get away with behind the scenes, the things that people eventually kind of leak about, all the vices that players have in the NBA, you're telling me that y'all believe that Luka's vices were so bad pertaining to his conditioning that you looked at a 25-year-old and thought to yourself, not only can we not fix him, but even though we just got to the finals with you, we don't believe that we can win a championship with you? That's crazy. That's crazy. Bro, Luka, dead ass Luka had to be shooting up heroin in the back. I don't know what Like what could Luka have been doing?